Hello everyone, this video is sponsored from a letter by Shay. Dear Ollie, sorry for the length of this letter, and if this is too long, please feel free to paraphrase it if need be. I've written you before and you did a video reply called Don't Believe the Narcissist Threats. As I watched your response to my letter, it made perfect sense in my head. However, my heart wasn't fully ready to fight back. I felt like perhaps there was still a chance to work things out, that if I compromised in at least the slightest, they would back off. I became conflicted within myself and battled between morals and ethics. Morally, I felt that you don't do wrong to the family, and I wouldn't lower myself to such lows. Ethically, I felt I was outside the perspective where I knew no matter what, they wouldn't change, and everything was just wrong. To recap, I gave my parents everything I ever had. This included every work check, income tax money, full control of how every penny was spent within the home. However, she would only shop for herself and would always fight with me. I have been in a serious relationship with the same man for over 10 years, and I approached my mother telling her I wanted to move out and live my life, and I wanted more for my children. I wanted them to have neighborhood friends, not like where they currently live, without a neighbor for miles. This threatened her way of life as she knew it, meaning if I left, my checks left. So this started the crazy witch hunt for me. Again, they got me fired from my job, telling my boss I was a druggie and a thief. They filed a robbery report with the local authorities claiming I robbed them, then unlawfully evicted me, and would not allow me to obtain a single item from the home. This included my clothing, DMV ID, debit cards, and worst of all, they obtained a lawyer. And the way this court system works is the more money you have, the more inclined they are to listen. And the worst thing they did to me is they began extreme parental alienation. All of my calls were ignored due to their constant harassment and me living in the streets for nearly 3 months. Every time we had a court appearance, I would look like a hobo druggie for sure. Each time lies more bullshit, but the person with the money has the floor. I finally had to step away because I knew I needed no contact in order to begin to heal. And with them constantly attacking me and finally laughing at me because I was homeless and dirty finally laughing at me because I was homeless and dirty has been an experience I know darn well I won't forget. At that point, I had no chance in hell of fighting. I was so brokenhearted for my kids and angry at the system for allowing these monsters to get away with it. I did not bother showing up to the following court date. They got the kids, and I spent the winter alone here and there, and started working and obtained a storage unit where my fiance and I began purchasing furniture, which we stored in the unit, such as a bed and other furniture. I eventually became so desperate for shelter, I actually lived inside the storage unit for 2 months. It was cold, but I had a bed. It was very dark. It was a very dark time, and all I wanted was to be with my children. I kept watching your videos, Ollie, and kept facing the facts, and began facing the facts and began to meet the real me. I watched your videos via Wi-Fi at McDonald's on an old Android phone that either way worked only with Wi-Fi. I began working and saving and purchasing items here and there. I knew that I would not let anything stop me from getting a home. I dreamed of the home the kids and I would always make up when we talked about moving out. A 2-story home with a pool and a fireplace. We lived in a trailer all our lives, and it wasn't bad at all in any way, but we always see bigger homes and say someday. Well, I spent the next 2 months working my ass off and literally forced myself to live off a white rice diet with meat only once a week, and vegetables once a week for those 2 months. The rice was 62 cents a bag, which lasted me all week. So when I had meat and vegetables, I would have a weekly allowance of about $5 a week to eat, and I made it work. I finally had enough to deposit, and first months ran on a huge town home in a nice neighborhood that was quiet. And when I see it, I cry because all I wanted to was share that moment with my children and say, we did it. We made it out of there. But this did not happen. Again, I haven't had contact with anyone at all in the family, and nothing yet. And nothing yet the day I got the townhome and received a call from a caseworker for the courthouse. She said that she had been appointed to the case and was doing an investigation on the case, which she would write a report with her opinion on where the boys would best thrive. The worker had already spoken to my parents and the father of the children, whom, by the way, is a one-time-a-month visiting father, even though we are in the same town. And this worker already was very judgmental of me. She came to the home and talked to me, and I attempted to explain to her everything that had happened, all that my parents had done to me, and how they, in fact, had never been involved with my children at all, and how they had never been involved with my children that all records for my children would show that I was the only person involved with their daily needs, especially those pertaining to school. After this meeting, there was another meeting with CPS workers within the office. My parents were there and myself. At this meeting, I mentioned all the harassment that occurred, and my dad was pissed off that I brought it up, and they continued with their accusations of me stealing and how I was on drugs. Now, I have not mentioned that over 10 years ago, when I was 21, I was arrested for a possession of controlled substance. I was 21 and stupid. Needless to say, I served my time and have not been in trouble since. I have even become an active member of the community by teaching parenting to low-income schools, as well as assisting in developing an in-home program for autistic children. Even though I have done many things that were helping to contribute to the community, I was told that because I did not stay in an NA meeting for the last 10 years, and because I had no way to prove that I was actually sober, CPS would recommend that my children stay with grandparents. And if I wanted visitation, I would have to submit to NA meetings and random testing, which I had to pay for, as well as parenting classes and reunification services for my children. The cost of the classes they recommended totaled about $300 a month, not including the time and gas it would also take. Altogether, it would be about 5 days a week that I was to attend class. It is horrible to think that I have come this far in my life and have worked my ass off just to be told it means nothing. Well, let me ask you this. You're a female, I'm assuming you have long hair. They could do a hair strand drug test that goes back about a year to see when you've been on drugs. I don't know what kind of job is going to fire you on the accusation that you're on drugs and you're stealing unless you're in a right to work state where they can fire you for any reason. Otherwise, I mean, if these charges are really untrue, I would hire an attorney and try to sue. I would sue the employer for wrongful termination, and I would sue your parents. I would find an attorney and sue your parents for defamation of character. Okay? And leave that out of CPS. See, you need to be able to prove that your parents are lying first in a separate court of law outside of family court, because we all know family court is corrupt, and family court will bow down to whoever has the most dollar. And you notice they want money for your parenting in the NA. They are just looking to make money and steal your children. You need to find the lawyer that's going to take your case on a contingency basis and sue your parents for defamation of character. That's what you need to do at this point. And I know I said not to engage, but they're holding your children at this point. They have physical custody of them. And they've taken it to a level where you're saying they have destroyed your life, cost you a job, evicted you, took your stuff, all based on lies. You need to go to a civil court outside of family court and sue them for defamation of character. And once they are found guilty and found liable for defamation, the family court's not going to be able to ignore it. Because once the civil court finds that they in fact did lie and make up all this stuff about you, because something that happens at 21 isn't supposed to have an adverse effect later on down the road. It's not. 10 years at I mean, I don't know what the terms of your arrest were, or your conviction, or your whatever happened. Okay, but you were supposed to stay in NA for 10 years? I mean, come on. Come on. You need to find an attorney, okay, and sue him for defamation. Don't go in the child court. Don't go in the family court, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose, and you're only going to frustrate yourself more and more and more. It's too late. It's too late. I wish you had listened. I'm not blaming you, but if you were going to move out of that house, you should have never have told them. You should just have picked up and gone. You can't just leave a narcissist. You can't. This is what they do. They have these things in their arsenal to take you down in the event you try something. And that's what happened here. You needed to pick up and leave and have them have no idea where you were. That was the only way to get out of that house clean and free. I even submitted to a random drug test there on the spot, and it was negative, but this did not matter. According to my parents, I knew how to cheat a drug test. To be told I needed parenting classes when I teach parenting through the county was a joke. I teach parenting and promote discipline without spanking and by using positive reinforcement. It was a stab in the heart all around. I was so worn out and angry that I had to sleep away all the bullshit because I couldn't win. After all was said and done and I had no fight left in me, my dad called and said, "Hey, I did not enjoy doing all of those things, but I had no choice because I knew you thought you would win, so I had to break you in order for you to give up. I know that you are a fighter and I couldn't take a chance of you fighting. You know a lot about the law, and had I not broken you, I know for a fact that we would lose lawyer or not. So sorry, but I had to do it." At this moment, I knew these people who I thought were mom and dad were nothing to me. I realized that it was all over, and I had to really stand up for myself and let these monsters go and exclude them from my life. If he said that to you, this is why I say you need to record these people at all times at this point. Once you realize what they are and there's a problem, do not call them. Do not talk to them unless it's being recorded. Ever, ever, ever. Have them submit to a lie detector. They say, "I'm not paying $300 for NA, but what I will pay for is a lie detector test to see who's lying. To see who's lying about what." This has been a struggle as they do have temporary guardianship of my children. The good thing is my bitch mom, the victim as she claims, does not talk to me at all. She has him call the man I used to call dad. I was a daddy's girl growing up, and when this all happened, it was like night and day with our relationship. But looking back on it, I now see that he was a narcissist as well. The only person who I have remained in contact with is my sister, who is basically no contact as well. She lives 3 hours away and avoids talking to my parents as much as possible. So many memories have resurfaced, and I have shared them with my sister as she is also beginning to remember things and we are both happy that we are out of that life. There is so much more, Ollie, that I can tell you, but I believe you have inspired me to make a YouTube channel as well and share my stories and how the parent raising my sister and my mother was a fucking princess, and my father was the same. If you make the YouTube channel, I would blow up CPS. I will put her name out there and send me the shit, and I will share it on my channel. Okay? Because that's the only way. Other things are going to change within CPS if people start within CPS and DIFUS or whatever you want to call them, or start being held personally accountable for their shitty actions. I'm not saying violence or anything. I'm saying they should be called on the carpet and be made to explain their fucking actions. My sister and I have the same fear in life, and the fear is so scary to us that at any time we do something that is even close to our fear, we cry and worry and call each other right away for reassurance that is not real. Our biggest fear is turning into my mother. If we do anything at all that is in likeness to her and we catch ourselves immediately, we are hard on ourselves and feel like we are horrible people. My sister and I are opposites in many ways. I was very outgoing and, according to my mother, the pretty one. And my sister was more reserved and very much isolated, and she was referred to as the smart one. However, all my life feels like it was a movie and I was acting in some big role produced by my mother. I always had a smile and could never express any other emotion. Anger, sadness, or frustration was not allowed in the home. She was the only one who could express emotion. If we dare tried, life was hell, and we were guilted so badly that we would constantly apologize and kiss her ass until she was happy again, which was never. All my life I have done more than any daughter should for a mother, but the only thing she gave me joy from was the fact that my sister was able to get out. From the time I was 15, I worked to give my mother money, and I remember my first paycheck I handed to her and said that she could have all the money with the exception that my sister had cable. I felt bad leaving my sister with her, and I always protected her and took the heat from our mom and always let her go free. She was far more scared of my mother than I was, even though I tried to shield her as much as possible. I am still amazed how much she did remember and realize how abusive my mother was, especially with me. Even recalling a time my mother hit me over and over again because I made the statement that I did not have clothing to wear on a particular day when she wanted to go shopping. At the time, worked 2 jobs and went to school and hadn't done my laundry. So she told me I was selfish and ungrateful and didn't have time for my bullshit. This was the only time my sister yelled at my mom in her life. She told my mom to please stop and to hit her instead as she cried watching me get hit. Thank God my mom did not go after her, but instead gave us both help from that point. I told my sister never to intervene again and that I was okay and I could handle my mom because I was used to it. But to rehear my sister telling the story broke my heart, and I love her for always knowing the truth, for it is her truth. Again, I did give my parents, and this was to last me 2 weeks. However, I did not eat, and I would save the money for my sister. I would use it to buy her school clothes because my mom never had any money to buy us school clothes. So she said, and I would not buy myself anything. I would even work at our local fair, and my one day off, I would take my sister to the fair and let her have anything and everything she wanted and book. And my senior yearbook was the only one I actually wanted. But of course, when it was almost time to go back to school, my mom again said she had no money to buy school clothes for us. I told my sister that I saved money for her and I always took her shopping with my picture and yearbook money. I bought myself 2 pairs of jeans from a thrift store clothing. I went all 4 years of high school trying not to gain or lose weight so that I would stay fitting in my clothing. But knowing my sister was taken care of made me happy. I was always told not to get stuck. I always told her not to get stuck like me and to go to college and to see the world. I am happy to say that she did. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology and lives near the beach. And she never knew the entire truth, but she has supported me in getting away from our parents. She says that she hated that I stayed there so long. And now that she is older and grown, I have opened up to her more about how things really were. She tells me she knew most of it, but blocked it out because she was in denial that a mother could be that way. And she thanked me for everything, and I told her that I would do it all over again, just to know that she made it out of there. We have always been very, very close, and now we are even closer, and together we are healing. I am now revisiting things in my past like it's the first time. And I feel as if I was watching a movie in a foreign language, and it translated to me by my mother this whole time. And now I feel if I'm seeing the same movie in English, and I'm realizing that her translation of it was all wrong and that the movie is nothing what she made it out to be. I hate all that they have done to me, and I hope that you keep making videos. And I really hope you realize that because of you, I am now finding myself and have my own life. Without you, Ollie, I don't think I would have made it this far. You have given me courage and strength from the support of your videos. I no longer feel like I am crazy and selfish in life. You are truly an inspiration, my friend, and I love you from the bottom of my heart for having the courage to stand up for this campaign for people like us who have lived in hell and continue to live that way. I honestly can't thank you enough, and honestly wish I could send more money, but money is a very hard thing right now. And I hope you do get your daughter back, and I hope I can eventually get my children back. I wish you nothing but the best, and again, I can't thank you enough for the videos. I have laughed and cried with them and even shared with my sister your videos, and we both can't get enough. Any advice or direction you could give at this point, I would appreciate. And again, Ollie, I pray you get your daughter, and a good person deserves all they want in life. Always, Shay. Okay. I didn't comment too much on this because most of it speaks for itself. It speaks to, what I've been talking about in all my videos. And Shay says, she understood my message from the first video, but she wasn't ready for it, but she wished she had. Because it doesn't get better with these narcissists. It just doesn't. As much as we'd like it to, it never will. And we've seen this many times with people who have tried to leave the home with their children when they're living with the narcissistic parents, with the grandchildren. We've seen this stuff happen time and time and time again. Now, this part isn't so much for Shay. It's for anybody else who's in a position of Shay who wants to get out. Get out, do it secretly, do it in the middle of the night when they're not around, because this is the type of shit that's going to happen to you. This is the type of shit that's going to happen to you. This girl got in trouble 10 years ago, had one arrest for a controlled substance. You're on trial. Remember, you're on trial for life. Whatever you do is put in an arsenal to be used at any time, and then they're going to pull it out and figure out ways to manipulate against you, okay, of your things that happened 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. This is just what they do. This is why you can't deal with them. However, in your case, Shay, if what you're telling me is true, and I believe you, okay, you need to sue them in civil court for defamation of character, okay, because it has had an adverse effect on your life. It has affected your children. And do not make mention of this. That could take some years. I understand it could take some years. But the goal here is once your parents get into a deposition with your attorney, it is going to be game fucking over for them because their lies are going to come unraveled. And I guarantee you at that point, they're going to want nothing to do with your children anymore. And they will just give them back to you, say they made it up. And then you could go into family court. And then you could turn around and then you could sue CPS for the same, for not listening to you. Okay, for taking the word of these two friggin' liars and taking your children away and ruining your life. And then I would go after your employer who fired you on these false accusations if you don't live in a right to work state. They have caused financial damage to you. They have cost you your children. You can sue them in civil court for that, and it probably won't cost you any money, because that's the type of case a lawyer will take on a contingency basis. Now, I don't know what kind of money they have left now, but you could take whatever they got in their name at that point. I think you got nothing to lose. At least go talk to a personal injury lawyer, a civil attorney who takes cases on commission. Not commission. Is it? I can't even remember. Contingency. I'm sorry. On contingency. Just look it up on Google, see who's in your area, say, I want to sue my parents, and here's why. For defamation of character, interference, talk to a lawyer, they'll usually see you for free. You can either do that or you could type out your case. A lot of them do it online, and see where you are with this. You are not going to win with CPS. Ever, ever, ever. Ever. They're corrupt. They're in it for the money. They're in it for the money. And that's the way it is, and that's just the way it's always going to be with those people. Stay no contact. Try to build on your relationship with your sister as well. You guys are in the same boat. Use each other as a support group. Obviously, your sister could also be a witness for you in court. I don't know if she has in family court. I don't know if she's spoken to CPS. But the question I would want to ask the CPS is like, why is it both these people's children, both these daughters, want nothing to do with them, yet they're fit enough to have my children? See, those are hard questions that CPS never wants to, because that's actually doing some work, and that's placing judgment. And there's no money to be made in that. You got to hit them where it hurts. You are going to have to, and I know I said it's, taking narcissists to courts is usually what they want. Not in this case. Not in this case. Not in civil court. Not in civil court. I was talking family court, divorce court, that type of court. Civil court, under deposition, under court, we'll see. You'll see them. You'll see the narcissist completely implode. Completely implode. I think that's your best chance to get back your children and to get some control over your life, and then to keep your parents away from you. And when you do call to talk to your father, if you do, record him. Get him to repeat what he told you somehow. Get him to record the phone call. And if you could get what you wrote to me, what he said, you said on video, on tape, game over. You bring that to an attorney, game over. The attorneys will be knocking themselves over to hire you as a client. And then to be able to sue CPS, and then to be able to sue your employer. Okay? You're holding all the chips, even though they have your children. You got more chips than you think. You got more chips because you got a witness who grew up with the same environment. And if you could get your father to admit the whole thing was made up to steal your children, you got him. Record every interaction with the narcissist. I can't stress that enough. Find yourself a contingency attorney, see what he says, and go from there, Shay. So thank you for your donation. I understand the position you're in, that giving anything could be backbreaking. So I really do appreciate it, and thank you. And this donation actually just came in, and I looked down like I got to do this one, put this one right to the top. So thank you again, Shay. Thank you everybody who's watched. Remember, making videos all day today, so if you want a video made today, you know what to do with the PayPal link in the description box. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon.